Franco Zeffirelli's Taming of the Shrew is his first Shakespeare movie in 1967. I want to talk about his long career as a director and set designer for opera. Understanding Zeffirelli's relationship with the opera is a great way to understand his relationship with Shakespeare and film. But also, I want to talk about the fact that he's taking on a well-known Shakespeare play that has well-known problems where you have to tread lightly, where you have to persuade at least some of the audience that this is okay, that it's not terrible. If you feel when you read Taming the Shrew that you're reading a story about domestic abuse, you're not the first person to think that, and it's not an optical illusion. You're thinking that for reasons. Neither is it new or anachronistic to think that. We have responses to the Taming of the Shrew for its entire 400-year history, and people have been uncomfortable. Some people have been uncomfortable with it all of the time. Shakespeare's own acting company commissioned a sequel to this play, not by Shakespeare, but played by the same company, so it'd be a kind of two-parter, where Petruchio's second wife stands up to him or gets her way or doesn't get pushed around by him. So that's a happy ending if you're okay with Petruchio living. If you think you're uncomfortable, I would go to the 19th century British playwright George Bernard Shaw, who was by no means always right, but when he was right, he was really right, who condemned Taming the Shrew as not only an insult to women, but an insult to men, as unmanly. That George Bernard Shaw looked at that play and said, a man who's pushing around his wife like that is less than a man. So, it is not new, it's not a 21st century idea to be uncomfortable with this play. And Zeffirelli is already dealing with the discomfort of it. It dovetails with his own directorial inclinations to make sure we put this as much in the historical past as possible. Okay, this is where we get to the opera part. Zeffirelli cuts the text down to tiny little shreds, very small amounts. So even the scenes he keeps, he might cut half of the dialogue. The wooing scene from Act 2 of The Shrew, the kind of bantering scene, the favorite scene if you want to read this play as a kind of romantic comedy, Zeffirelli actually cuts the lines, the favorite lines, in half. But he extends the whole sequence out to over 10 minutes of lots of other stuff. There's a lot of time in this movie when nobody's speaking, or if they're speaking, it's a little this or that. It's not by Shakespeare. He's added a lot of stuff. He has filled out the world of the play. Zeffirelli is fascinated with showing a historical or nostalgically historical detailed picture of the original setting, entering the imaginative world of the play. Much more Italy than Shakespeare's actual play is. Shakespeare's play does have some characters speak in Italian and sometimes in almost Italian. I have, for my sins, recently been reading an Italian translation of this play to see what Italian translators do with the not quite Italian in it. Zeffirelli is, before he was an opera director, he was a set and costume designer. Visual design is his thing. He thinks very visually, much more visually than about language. Also, because it's opera, what's the least valuable thing about opera to an opera director? The lyrics. You want the music, you want the visuals, the words. Schmerds. You can enjoy an opera in a language you don't understand. So he's built out this massive, very detailed version of Padua, and I'm not convinced it's Padua, rather than a more generalized ye old 16th century Italy. He's very interested in kind of street carnival and Saturnalia, and actually he's using that kind of folksy misrule as a kind of proxy for what Petruchio and Catherine are doing. They're just part of the body game. So okay, it's the same as having a fish hook to lift up a young virgin's veil. Don't want to say it badly. Okay. And let me lay my cards on the table here, right? This is in filling this out, he's created characters who aren't there, characters who only exist visually. So he needs to show us that prostitute character he's invented who runs all the way through the length of the movie. And if your problem is that some people think this play is misogynist, and one of your solutions is to add a sex worker, but not give her any lines, I don't know how much less misogynist we've made it. Okay. There's this loving attention to costume detail. There's this loving attention to setting. There's this loving attention to a generalized nostalgic vision of early modern Italy. Great. Is he interested in actual Padua, the intellectual and scientific center that it was in the 1590s? No, he's interested in like ye old times and the good times. Is he interested in the Bianca plot? Not much. He has also used, not for the first time either with this play on film, he's used the trick of casting two stars who are married. And here I want to talk about the word star in film studies, not simply meaning a good actor. Not every star is a good actor. Not every good actor is a star, and not every star is a good actor. Not even simply a famous actor, but the star meaning someone whom the audience knows about, has a parasocial imaginary relationship with, thinks they know something about, totally outside this story. Zeffirelli is deploying Burton and Taylor's fame and mild infamy, their notoriety, their kind of supermarket tabloidiness, the fact they're married. If you want to make this relationship okay, you want to cast it's like, well, they're feisty, but they're into each other. Casting an actual married couple who are well known to be married because it was kind of a scandal. They both left other spouses. Burton is Taylor's fifth husband, and then later also her sixth husband. They get divorced and remarried after this movie. And they're fractious. They fight a lot. There's gossip of them fighting. So okay, if you put in Burton and Taylor to guide the audience's responses to Petruchio and Catherine, like, oh yeah, they're hot for each other and they're in love and it's a real relationship, and like they throw the crockery, it's all cool. This is just how they roll. It's all okay. No pair of Hollywood stars who get cast in Taming the Shrew stay married much longer afterwards. So that happens. Burton is a classically trained Welsh actor. He is buddies with former student of Gielgud and a collaborative Gielgud. He's up there in the top rank of classical actors of his day. And there are other great British actors in this film. Taylor is a product of the Hollywood studio system. She was a child star, and she is much more acting with her face and her body and especially she's doing a lot of nonverbal stuff. That goes well with Zeffirelli, who's really about the nonverbal more than the words here. It's also super useful in playing Catherine, because I want to say two things about this. One is, if you're trying to find a way to save Catherine, to make her not a victim, to make her okay or even down with this, right, to make her a co-conspirator, and there are lots of different readings, lots of different performance approaches to try to like turn this into something the audience can get with and get behind and accept. Going to Shakespeare's language isn't gonna help much. Her actual lines aren't gonna, she has no lines you can lean on to save this relationship. She has lines that the actor can twist, she can say ironically or something else, but you gotta do it in some indirect way. Just delivering the line straight won't save the audience perception of this marriage. It's also the case that mainstream big budget film, and this is a big budget movie, it's in Technicolor, it's in widescreen, there's lots of costumes, it's a spectacle. Zeffirelli loves spectacle. That spectacular mainstream cinematic tradition, the Hollywood tradition, and not just America either, has long relied on lead actresses who have underwritten parts to communicate crucial things about the core relationships in the movie non-verbally, through their posture, through their body language, through their facial expressions. There are classic movies that would fall apart but for the female leads' acting choices that have nothing to do with line delivery. Some of the great leading ladies have had to save movies in between their lines because they didn't have that many lines. Try to watch Casablanca and watch how Bergman keeps that whole love triangle possible just with her face. That said, if you need a Catherine that the audience is going to think is not a victim, you need an actress who can kind of suggest it, not with her words, but with her physicality. And Taylor is perfect for that.